Listening, fill in the blanks.
Let's start.
The discovery that language can be a barrier to communication is quickly made by all who travel, study, govern or sell. Whether the activity is tourism, research, government, policing, business, or data dissemination, the lack of a common language can severely impede progress, or can halt it altogether. Common language here usually means a foreign language, but the same point applies in principle to any encounter with unfamiliar dialects, or styles within a single language. They don't talk the same language, has a major metaphorical meaning alongside its literal one.
Several comparable cases have been reported. But isolated examples do not give an impression of the size of the problem, something that can come only from studies of the use or avoidance of foreign language materials and contacts in different communicative situations. In the English-speaking scientific world, for example, surveys of books and documents consulted in libraries and other information agencies have shown that very little foreign language material is ever consulted. Library requests in the field of science and technology showed that only 13% were for foreign language periodicals. Studies of the sources cited in publications lead to a similar conclusion.
The first hydroelectric power plants were much more dependable and efficient than the plants of the day that were fired by fossil fuels. This led to a rise in the number of small to medium-sized hydroelectric generating plants located wherever there was an adequate supply of falling water, and a need for electricity. As demand for electricity soared in the middle years of the 20th century, and the effectiveness of coal and oil power plants improved, small hydro plants became less popular. The majority of new hydroelectric developments were focused on giant mega projects.
Artificial intelligence, AI, can already predict the future. Police forces are using it to map when and where crime is likely to occur. Doctors can use it to predict when a patient is most likely to have a heart attack or stroke. Researchers are even trying to give AI imagination so it can plan for unexpected consequences. Many decisions in our lives require a good forecast, and AI is almost always better at forecasting than we are. Yet for all these technological advances, we still seem to deeply lack confidence in AI predictions. Recent cases show that people don't like relying on AI and prefer to trust human experts, even if these experts are wrong.
The Egyptians were industrious, highly civilized and deeply religious people, who obediently accepted the supreme authority of their pharaohs. The people were content to serve and work for the state in return for a secure livelihood. They considered this earthly life to be a segment in a great cycle, at the end of which everything would be returned to its original form. The richer and more important the person, the more careful and elaborate would be his or her burial, and the stronger and safer the tomb in which they would be buried.
In Britain, there is a broadly similar belief in the existence of innate talent, but also an egalitarian sentiment which makes people queasy about the idea of investing resources in grooming intelligence. Teachers are often opposed to separate provision for the best-performing children, saying any extra help should go to stragglers. In 2002, in a bid to help the able while leaving intact the ban on most selection by ability in state schools, the government set up the National Academy for Gifted and Talented Youth. This outfit runs summer schools and master classes for children nominated by their schools. To date, though, only 7 in 10 secondary schools have nominated even a single child. Last year, all schools were told they must supply the names of their top 10%.
It appears that experiential, situational, and cultural factors are even more powerful in shaping wisdom than previously imagined, says Associate Professor Igor Grossman of the University of Waterloo in Ontario, Canada. Recent empirical findings from cognitive, developmental, social, and personality psychology cumulatively suggest that people's ability to reason wisely varies dramatically across experiential and situational contexts. Understanding the role of such contextual factors offers unique insights into understanding wisdom in daily life, as well as how it can be enhanced and taught.
The Egyptian people showed reverence towards natural objects such as the lotus flower, the scarab beetle, the falcon, the lion, the sun and the river Nile. These subjects and many more were used symbolically and conventionally as motifs in low-relief carving and painting. It was the custom of the Egyptians to depict the various parts of the human figure, usually in the most characteristic positions. The head was shown in profile except for the eye, which was represented from the front. The shoulders and a portion of the arms were portrayed from the front, while the hips and legs were side views.
Before the invention of artificial light, the moon had greater social impact, and, for those living near the equator, in particular, its waxing and waning were more conspicuous than the passing of the seasons. Hence, the calendars that were developed at the lower latitudes were influenced more by the lunar cycle than by the solar year. In more northern climes, however, where seasonal agriculture was practiced, the solar year became more crucial. As the Roman Empire expanded northward, it organized its activity chart for the most part around the solar year.
Like, share, subscribe the channel, and press the bell icon for further updates.